Meanwhile, President Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton, is expected to plead guilty for the mishandling of classified documents and sharing them with 2 family members. According to multiple reports, the specific charge Bolton will plead guilty to is 1 felony count of illegal retention of sensitive national security documents. Reports also say that Bolton has agreed to pay more than $2 million fine. A conviction on 1 count of illegal retention carries a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison. According to the court docket, Bolton is set to go back to federal court in Greenbelt, Maryland on June 26. That date is probably when he will now plead guilty. Prosecutors accuse Bolton of sharing by email with his wife and daughter more than 1,000 pages of information about his day-to-day activities. Now, this brings to mind the Bolton case, a similar case more than 20 years ago. It involved former President Bill Clinton's national security advisor, Sandy Berger. He pleaded guilty to smuggling classified documents from the National Archives. According to the Inspector General at the time, Berger stashed the smuggled documents in his socks. He then hid them under a construction trailer. Several days later, Berger went back to the trailer to get the hidden documents from under the construction trailer. He then destroyed some of those documents. Those documents involved terror threats that apparently Berger was hiding. His punishment? Probation and a $50,000 fine, 100 hours of community service. Professor Emeritus Harvard Law School Alan Dershowitz joins me. Nice to see you, sir. And your thought on this Bolton expected plea?
Yeah, well, it's ridiculous. I remember the Sandy Berger case very well, particularly the hiding in his socks. I sat next to Sandy Berger at a dinner in the White House. I remember when that happened. Look, nobody has ever been sent to prison for doing this, and probably every important person in government has one time or another used classified material in their writing or taken it out of the White House or the executive mansion in order to help them in their writing. This is selective prosecution at its worst. John Bolton's a great man. He was a great national security advisor. He has some of the best ideas right now on Iran and how to end the war in Iran. The idea that he would be punished, $2 million fine, possible imprisonment for doing what so many other people have done just shows how the law is being weaponized by all sides for all purposes. This guy should get a slap on the wrist like all the others and allowed to go on doing his important work, criticizing the government.
You know, everything in this town, by the way, is classified practically. I mean, there is that. And we had Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Mike Pence, Joe Biden, nothing when they did their classified errors. Then you had President Trump, and they went after him, and I thought that was bad for what they went after him. I thought that was bad. Now they'll go after Bolton. He's going to plead to a felony, but the standard when you try to make the law even and consistent, if Sandy Berger, who didn't do it accidentally, he intentionally destroyed to cover up some terrorist acts that had occurred, and apparently that he thought the Clinton administration maybe hadn't done anything about it, is that he got a misdemeanor, and he could have gotten felonies for every piece of paper he took. He could have had, like, I don't know how many pieces of paper he took, but all he got is 1 misdemeanor, and he got probation. And Bolton, whether you like him or not, he's getting hit pretty hard, or at least out of it's not consistent with the standard of how everybody else is treated.
Compare it to Hillary Clinton, who had a server at home, and the head of the FBI said it was wrong, but it would be wrong to prosecute her, and she wasn't prosecuted at all. She was, of course, denied the presidency in part because of revelations by the head of the FBI. But there has to be one system of justice for all, and I am absolutely convinced that John Bolton is being subjected to double standard injustice. He should be praised and rewarded for all the good work he did, and we need to listen to him because he makes a tremendous amount of sense right now about what he's saying about Iran.
Well, I don't think the president's a big fan. Here's what the president just said about Bolton.
He's a bad guy, John Bolton. He's a dirty guy, and we caught him. We caught him. And, he wrote a book. You look at all the information he took. I mean, if you look at that case, it's a great honor to have helped from the standpoint of encouragement. I looked at John Bolton as somebody that was a very dishonest guy and not a smart guy. And I guess he's paying the price for certainly being dishonest.
Look, the president's
I
entitled
read-
to personal views of John Bolton, and he may be right about some of his views, but the criminal justice system ought to make sure it has a single standard for everybody, and that single standard, in my mind, seems to have been violated, and it would be violated if he got any kind of a sentence of imprisonment. He'd be the first person that I know of in history ever to be sentenced to prison for doing something that so many other people have done.
Yeah, and 18 felonies versus Sandy Berger, actually not identical. Sandy Berger actually went around and destroyed documents, which is worse than being stupid and giving it to your family. Anyway, Professor Alan Dershowitz, thank you so much. People think news just happens. It doesn't. It happens because there's someone there to capture the moment, to explain it and share it. That's my job. I go where news breaks and give you the facts. Join me for The Record on Newsmax.